Welcome back to Debit Credit Done, the podcast that makes accounting simple, practical and totally passable. I'm Dean Quartermain and this is episode 9 of our current series on the AAT Level 3 unit, Financial Accounting Preparing Financial Statements. So last time we covered control accounts, looking at receivables ledger control account and payables ledger control account. So what we're going to look at today then is take a closer look at suspense accounts and error correction, an area that students often find challenging, but which is essential for accurate financial reporting. So what are we going to cover in this episode? So by the end of the episode, I hope you will be able to understand what suspense accounts are and why they're created, the key types of accounting errors and which of those affects the trial balance, the role of journals in error correction, the importance of clearing suspense accounts, and the wider impact of error correction on financial statements. And let's talk a little bit about exam technique when you come to approach these problems in exams. So what's the purpose of a suspense account? So a suspense account is not a real account such as cash, receivables, payables. What it really is a temporary holding account used purely to keep the trial balance balanced whilst you investigate the discrepancies and the errors that have led to that trial balance not balancing. So think of it a bit like it's just a temporary account for the unexplained differences. It allows financial statements to be drafted and reviewed, even if you've got underlying errors that have not yet been found. Now, my advice to people is don't start creating financial statements if you've got balances in your suspense account. Yeah, understand there is a balance in your suspense account, investigate it, resolve it before you start creating financial statements. That would be my key piece of advice. So some of the other key points to remember: suspense accounts can appear as either a debit or credit balance. It's not a permanent account. Must be cleared once you understand what the underlying errors are and you fix them. It's an essential control mechanism for ensuring the integrity of a double entry system, because if you've implemented your double entry correctly, then you should have no suspense account balance, should you? Yeah. So some of the types of errors then. So AAT requires us to know about a number of different types of errors and whether or not they affect trial balances. So let's start with the first one, an error of omission. So what do we mean by an error of omission? So what we mean is the entire transaction is missing from your ledger accounts. So the trial balance still agrees because neither the debit or the credit was posted into ledger accounts. The whole transaction's missing, so the trial balance is not impacted by that. An error of commission is a second type of error. So the correct amount was posted, but to the wrong account of the same type. So that could be the wrong customer's account. Yeah, the trial balance still agrees, because you've still posted debits and credits, equaling debits and credits. You've just posted it to the wrong account of the same type. So there's no suspense account involved there. An error of principal: the correct amount, but it was posted to the wrong type of account, i.e. you posted it to expenses instead of an asset. However, the trial balance will still agree. Debits still equal credits. It's a classification error, not an arithmetic error. An error of original entry: so you posted the wrong figure on both the debit and credit sides. So again, the trial balance will agree, but you've got the wrong amount. So that's where you posted £100 debit, £100 credit, and it should have been £1,000 debit, £1,000 credit. But because debits still equal credits, the trial balance will still agree. An error of reversal: so this is where both sides of the entry are reversed. So instead of debits where there should be credits and credits where there should be debits, the trial balance will still agree because debits do equal credits. Finally, well, not finally, but next one, compensating error. Yeah, so compensating error, two or more errors that cancel each other out. So the trial balance will agree yeah, but the figures are still wrong. Yeah, so you've got two errors that cancel each other out. Yeah, but overall the trial balance will still agree. Debits still equal credits. So what's the key takeaway here then? The key takeaway really is that suspense accounts only pick up one-sided errors, such as debits posted without credits, or a credit posted to the wrong side of the ledger. Yeah, or debit posted to the wrong side of the ledger. So if you posted one side of the entry, so you only post debits but you didn't post the credit, obviously the suspense account would need to be used to put the credit side of that entry. Yeah, and if you posted two credits, yeah, or two debits, yeah, then you'd need a suspense account to correct that. Yeah. So what's the process around error correction then? So when an error that affects the trial balance is found, you've got to do a couple of things. The first thing you need to do is reverse the incorrect entry. Yeah, so you've done something incorrectly. Let's reverse that as if it never existed. Yeah. And then post the correct entry. So reverse what you did incorrectly and then post it as it should have been posted to resolve the problem. So, as I say, first step, reverse the incorrect entry. That removes the error from your financial records. And then post the correct entry. This puts the transaction where it should have been recorded. Now, both steps are necessary because if you just post the correct entry without reversing the wrong one, you're going to end up double counting the transaction. And the suspense account should be adjusted as part of the process, either debited or credited, until the balance on the suspense account reaches zero. So what's the importance of clearing the suspense account then? So leaving a suspense balance on a trial balance would mean that the statement of financial position would contain unexplained figure because you don't know what it is. It's just a suspense account balance. You don't really, at that point, truly understand what it is. And if you do, why didn't you correct it? Profit could be over or understated. It's a red flag for auditors. Yeah, because you don't understand what it is. Because if you did, you'd have corrected it. So it indicates a potential control weakness. And then from an AAT exam perspective, marks are awarded for fully clearing suspense accounts. If your suspense still shows a balance after all corrections, I suggest you check your journals because something is either missing or being misposted. So what are some common AAT exam traps and some tips that I can give you that might help you get a few extra marks? So first one, always check that the expense account is cleared once you've posted all your error corrections. So always confirm the closing balance on your suspense account is zero. Another problem that we get is people only correcting part of the error. So they almost post the correct part of the problem. So they know what they should have done, so they post that, but they forget to reverse the incorrect postings first. So the first thing to do is reverse the incorrect postings, then post the correct entries. Another thing that students forget is that some errors don't affect trial balances. So don't be posting things in and out of suspense accounts and don't involve the suspense account unless you need to, and you only need to for certain types of errors. Another tip, wrong-sided entries. Yeah. So there's some tips you've got here when it comes to receivables and payables around what side of payables and receivables the entry should be on. So remember that receivables ledger control account is normally a debit account. So it normally has a debit balance. Yeah, it's an asset. Receivables ledger control account's an asset. Payables ledger control account is normally has a credit balance because it's normally a liability. So that helps that you can use that knowledge and that whole dead click knowledge to sort of understand whether things are being posted to the right side or the wrong side of the accounts. So that's quite a short episode for today, but a bit of a recap then of what we've looked at. So we focused on the theory behind suspense accounts. So why do you create suspense accounts? What type of errors affect trial balances? Two-step approach to error correction. Understood why it's essential to clear suspense accounts completely, and some key exam pitfalls to avoid within exams. So that was it then for episode 9 of Debit Credit Done. So in episode 10 we're going to wrap up series 2 with final account adjustments and exam style practice, pulling everything together to create a complete set of financial statements. So until then, keep practicing, keep reflecting, and remember, Debit Credit Done.